Who Captain Sisko's real mother in Star Trek. Deep Space Nine is, in the rich tapestry of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine DS9, few characters are more complex and mystically layered than Captain Benjamin Sisko. He is not just a Starfleet officer, not just a war hero or a father. He is also the emissary of the prophets, a figure of religious significance to the Byron people. But this spiritual identity took a profound and surprising turn in the series' final season, when the truth about Sisko's origins was revealed. His real mother isn't human at all, she's one of the prophets. This revelation sent shockwaves through the fanbase, not only because of the metaphysical implications, but because it redefined what kind of being Sisko truly was. Was he still human? Was he part god? Was he always destined to be the emissary? To understand the magnitude of this twist, we have to peel back the layers of the story, both mythological and personal, and examine who Sisko's mother really was, why the prophets intervened, and what it means for his place in Star Trek canon. The Sisko family and the mystery of Sarah. For much of DS9's run, Benjamin Sisko's background seemed relatively straightforward. He was born in New Orleans, raised by his loving father Joseph Sisko, a chef with strong traditional values. We are led to believe that Benjamin's mother, Sarah Sisko, died when he was young, a tragic but ordinary piece of backstory. But in Season 7, in the episode Image in the Sand, this long-assumed truth is challenged. When Sisko begins to experience visions and a spiritual longing that draws him back to Earth, he discovers an old photograph of a woman Joseph Sisko identifies as Sarah, Benjamin's biological mother. The twist? Joseph admits that this woman disappeared shortly after Benjamin's birth, and that she was not the woman who actually raised him. The story begins to unravel, and with it, so does Sisko's understanding of his identity. A prophet in human form. The next piece of the puzzle is delivered in shadows and symbols, where it's revealed that Sarah Sisko wasn't entirely human at all. In fact, she was possessed by one of the prophets, non-linear alien beings who exist outside of time in the Byron wormhole. These beings, worshipped as gods by the Bajorans, orchestrated Sisko's conception by inhabiting the body of a human woman. This possession lasted long enough to ensure that Benjamin would be born, after which the prophet left Sarah's body. She then abandoned Joseph and the infant Ben, unable to explain what had happened to her or why. Sarah eventually died years later, after having no further contact with the Sisko family. This revelation is staggering. It means that Benjamin Sisko is the child of a mortal man and a being who exists beyond time, a combination of the physical and the spiritual, the human and the divine. It reframes the entire series. The emissary wasn't chosen by the prophets after his arrival on DS9. He was engineered by them, destined from birth to fulfill a role in their cosmic designs. The religious implications. For the Bajorans, Sisko's role as emissary was already a matter of faith, but this new truth elevates him to something even more profound, a literal bridge between their world and the prophets. He's no longer just a messenger or intermediary. He is a hybrid being, a child of both universes. His connection to the prophets isn't just spiritual, it's biological, metaphysical, and deeply personal. The writers of DS9 were deliberately playing with archetypes here. Sisko becomes a Christ-like figure, divinely conceived, sent to deliver a people from oppression, in this case, the Cardassian occupation and later the Dominion War, and ultimately making a great personal sacrifice for a higher calling. Like many mythic heroes, his birth was no accident. But unlike many Chosen One tropes, Deep Space Nine imbues Sisko with rich emotional conflict. He doesn't want to be the emissary. He doesn't want to be a demigod. He wants to be a man, a father, a Starfleet captain. And when he learns the truth about his mother, he is furious. The prophets used his family, violated the autonomy of his mother, and rewrote the path of his life. Sisko's anger and grief make the revelation all the more powerful, because while it elevates him to something more, it also steals from him the choice to be ordinary. Was Sarah Sisko really a person? One of the more fascinating ambiguities in the storyline is the nature of Sarah's identity. Was she a real woman who was possessed? Or was she a construct, a shell inhabited and discarded by the prophets? The show leans toward the idea that Sarah was a real human who was overtaken by a prophet temporarily. This has deeply unsettling implications because it suggests a kind of divine manipulation. Sarah's autonomy was overridden, her relationship with Joseph Sisko was coerced, and her fate was discarded once her mission was complete. It's one of the most morally gray actions the prophets ever take, and DS9 doesn't flinch from presenting it as such. Unlike the benevolent God figures seen in other franchises, the prophets are alien and unknowable. They do not operate according to human morality. In their timeless perception, they saw that Sisko was necessary, so they made him happen, no matter the ethical cost. This isn't framed as noble. It's framed as cosmic inevitability, and Sisko's emotional reaction is a mirror of the audience's discomfort. What do we do with a God who overrides free will for the sake of prophecy? Sisko's legacy, more than human. By the end of Deep Space Nine, Sisko's journey leads him to the fire caves of Bajor, where he confronts Gul Dukat and the Pa-Wraiths, evil, exiled versions of the prophets. In the process of stopping them, Sisko is pulled into the wormhole to live with the prophets. He leaves behind his pregnant wife Cassidy Yates and his life in the physical realm. The final moments of the show reflect back on his hybrid nature. He is neither dead nor alive, neither fully human nor fully divine. He tells Cassidy that he'll return in a year or maybe yesterday, referencing the non-linear nature of the prophet's existence. Sisko has transcended the role of Starfleet captain, becoming something between man and God. His mother, or rather, the being that possessed her, was the seed of this transformation. Without the prophet's intervention, Benjamin Sisko might never have existed. But her possession, or perhaps her sacrifice, set into motion one of the most compelling destinies in the Star Trek universe. Legacy in canon and fandom. The idea that Sisko is part prophet remains one of Deep Space Nine's most polarizing and mysterious elements. For some fans, it feels like a betrayal of his human character arc, an unnecessary mystical twist in a franchise built on science and logic. For others, it adds a layer of mythic grandeur that fits perfectly with DS9's more spiritual and political themes. In many ways, it foreshadowed the modern wave of serialized storytelling in science fiction television. It dared to make its lead character a being of destiny, but still deeply human. It questioned the role of fate, free will, and faith, and it did so without ever offering a clean answer. In the Star Trek Expanded Universe non-canon novels, Sisko eventually returns from the wormhole, struggling once again with his identity and place in the galaxy. But on screen, his story ends with him gone, transformed, and remembered as both a hero and a divine figure. A Starfleet officer who became a messiah, all because of his true mother, an alien entity who altered the course of human history by conceiving a child with a New Orleans chef. Final thoughts.